Hi everyone, welcome back to Chop's Garage, the real life car trading channel. Today we're talking about the riskiest cars you can buy when you're in the car trade. Now you might say it's a Fiat because I'm pointing at a Fiat, but it isn't in fact a Fiat. This Fiat is in fact just an example of what the worst cars you can buy in the car trade. And what are they? Part exchanged vehicles. People seem to think that part exchange vehicles are sort of this mythical world of cheap motors that dealers get in for peanuts and sell for huge profits. But the reality of it is very, very different. Those who watch my channel regularly will know that. The cars I've been burned with the most have without fail always been vehicles that were part exchanged by the public who didn't declare known faults. And this is because we know it is considered fair game to offload troublesome cars with car dealers. What does your garage say when you take your car in and it needs a load of work doing to it? What do they say? I'd get shot, go and part exchange it in somewhere. Now people don't sell these cars off of their driveway, of course not, because the risk is then that if there are problems with the vehicle, known problems, that someone's going to come knocking on your doorstep. But it's considered that car dealers are fair game. Why is that? Well, it's because people seem to have it in their heads that car dealers stiff everybody else, so it doesn't matter if you stiff one of them. Which, if we think about it, is quite a funny thing, isn't it? Because the biggest complaint is that car dealers offer peanuts for part exchanges. So therefore, dealers rip people off, so therefore it's okay to lumber them with a bad car. But if you stop to think about it for more than 30 seconds, you realise, why do car dealers give peanuts for part exchange cars? Because people can part exchange cars with known faults and there's zero comeback and people offload real trouble. Now at this point there'll be a number of people screaming at the screen, you're a car dealer though, you know, consumers don't know, you're a car dealer, you know what's wrong with cars, so you should do your road checks and your tests and all that kind of thing, and you've only got yourself to blame if you take a troublesome car in. But unless you're allowing car dealers to have your car for a week and test it in cold conditions, in hot conditions, after it's been running for more than 10 minutes round the block, there are things that can be hidden within a vehicle. Dual mass flywheels, for example, on diesel cars. If the car is warm when it's test driven, a dual mass flywheel won't knock in the same way it will when it's cold, so you won't notice that till the following morning. Again with the diesel, if you've got leaking injectors, if the vehicle's warm and it's already warmed up, it'll only be when it's from dead cold when you try to start the vehicle will you find you've got trouble starting it because of leaky injectors. There's other faults that may only appear after a certain amount of time driving the vehicle. Overheating can sometimes take quite a while to actually happen. So there's a number of things that even in a thorough check over of a vehicle you aren't going to pick up as a car dealer. But the question comes back as well is, why is it still acceptable? Yeah, you know, dealer does get to check the vehicle, but why is it still acceptable not to be honest? What, you know, why should a dealer have to do all those checks to try and catch it? Why would somebody not rock up and say, here's my part exchange, the things I know that are wrong with it are X, Y and Z? Well, we know the reason, because they want to get the top price they can get for it part exchange. They don't want to get the real price for it with its known faults. So a dealer then is looking at the car going, well, I have to assume what you're telling me is rubbish and that the car is full of problems, so I'm going to have to try and get that price down as far as I can. But then of course you get the crew that says, well, dealers will sell it with the faults anyway. Well, of course they don't. That's absolutely rubbish. The only way a dealer can sell the car with a fault is to put it through auction, and then everyone in the auction is going to assume that the car is trouble because the dealer's offloaded it into the auction, so he'll actually end up losing money there. And a dealer can't sell a car with a fault. Let's go through this one as an example. So this is a Fiat Panda on a, what is it, a 2059 plate, so I think it might be a 2010. Not a very valuable car. At best its retail value probably in the region of £2,000 if you were to clean it and retail it. Now this was part exchanging against a deal. I didn't personally test drive it first, a bit more of that story a little bit later, but it was test driven before the part exchange was allowed, but it was just around the town very quickly, 10 minutes max, while the deal was being done. Now that's where its biggest fault came to light, is once it was actually taken out for a further run after the deal was done. It was taken for a proper run. The car actually, if you put it in fifth gear, will pop out of fifth gear. It won't stay in it. It'll just throw itself back into neutral. Something that was not declared when the vehicle was part exchange, and it only became apparent once it was got up to enough speed to get into fifth, which obviously for a Panda with a 1.2 petrol engine, that isn't going to happen with a run round town. That's going to happen once you get it out onto a dual carriageway or a bit of a faster road. So that wasn't declared. Now that fix alone on this car, it will need a gearbox, will be in the region of £350 for a refurb gearbox. You might be able to get one for £250 if you went for a used one. And then you are going to have to put a clutch in at the same time. You would not put a clutch in. It will cost you about another £80 for that. Then you've got the labour on top if you're not doing it yourself, and most dealers won't do it themselves. So you're looking in the region of, let's say, £700 for that repair alone, maybe. Then there's the fact that the brakes are so bad they absolutely graunch to a grinding halt. Now that should be observed by anybody on a test drive, so we can kind of allow for that one. The handbrake touches the roof, so I can imagine it's not only the front discs and pads that need doing, it's the rear shoes. But clearly the biggest thing is this gearbox thing. Now some faults, you'd think it's possible that the owner simply isn't aware they're a fault because they don't know what noises the car should make, what engine should make, because they don't have the experience a dealer does. There's other faults, like the fact that you can't keep the thing in fifth gear, that you're absolutely aware of. Of course, then you get the people that say, well, no, you're a dealer, you're going to sell it with those faults anyway. And then when someone comes back, you're going to tell them that the fault didn't exist when they sold it, and you're going to tell them to go and get lost and sort it out themselves. Well, that's utter rubbish, isn't it? Because as soon as you bought the car and you have it for more than a 10-minute test drive and start using it daily, you're going to find out it pops out of fifth gear, and you're going to bring it back to the dealer, and you're not just going to accept that it was a known fault. You also have 6 months consumer rights to back you up. If you're the kind of person who's silly enough to allow that, then more fool you. Because as I said, all cars you buy from a dealer come with a 6-month statutory consumer rights, which means if there was a fundamental fault with the vehicle at point of sale, you have a right to get the vehicle fixed, or if they can't fix it, get your money back. So no dealer is going to get away with sending this out with a car that doesn't go into fifth gear and has bad brakes and just wash that away. But James, you won't sell this retail. You'll sell it sold as seen or part X to clear, and you'll do none of the fixes on it. The only way a dealer can sell this vehicle without declaring those faults at all is spares and repair. And the only way you can buy a vehicle from a dealer spares and repair is you are not allowed to drive it on the public road, and you're not allowed to leave their premises without it being on a trailer. If the vehicle is sold with part X to clear or sold as seen, it is totally meaningless. If they've allowed you to test drive the car on the road, if they have not told you it's spares and repair, and they haven't made you transport it away, then the car falls back under immediately the 6 months Consumer Rights Act. So that those of you that believe that there's an easy way for dealers to offload cars with problems don't know the industry. You don't have a clue. The only way a vehicle can be sold by a dealer with zero comeback is if it's sold spares or repair, or a dealer-to-dealer transaction, like one car dealer to another car dealer. So the point in this video, and the moral of the story is twofold really. One, those people that message me and email me all the time wanting to buy cheap part X's off me, thinking it is the golden path to riches, that all you can do is throw a bucket over them and make a fortune, you're wrong. Secondly, for those people that moan about part exchange prices from dealers and moan about the markup of cars after they've part exchanged them, it's because of this kind of thing. It's an eternal circle. You stiff the dealer by giving them a bad quality car that needs loads of work. The dealer then has to spend a load of money getting it right and makes a small margin. And then when you come back in to buy a car, they hammer you on the part exchange price, and the circle goes round eternally like that. You might say the clue is because someone wants to part exchange a car. Who's going to want to part exchange a good car? And that's fair enough, but still doesn't prevent you from being honest about what the faults are. And if everyone did, then those people bringing in the cars that didn't have faults and were good cars would get a higher price point for their cars. And those of you looking to set up car businesses, always beware a part X.